This segment is brought to you by JigMaster Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com and use promo code PNF20 and save 20% off your next jig order today.
Welcome to the Bass, Kayak, and Beer segment on the Paddle and Fin Network. It's your host Armando Solan, and on this segment, we kick back with a special guest and talk about life, kayak fishing, and the pursuit of big bass. So get your cold brews on and enjoy the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bass, Kayak, and Beers Network. We got a special, very special guest for you today, the great Rob Pagnano. Mr. Pagnano, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, brother. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for saying my name correctly.
I learned from Josh Smith screwing it up all the time.
You cannot say it at all, dude. It's hilarious. It's hilarious.
It's a Latino in me. So, yeah. Rob, that is one of my favorite singles from that you've come out with, man. And you were just talking on the pre-show. You recorded that in Nashville?
Yeah, we did a 6-song record in Nashville. I had produced by Lance Carpenter, who was on Toby Keith's label. And I had Rob McNelly playing guitar, who's Bob Seger's guitar player, Taylor Swift's studio bass player, like crazy people, amazing stuff. So we're working with some high-level people, and just they made a beautiful record for me.
That is some good stuff, man. That's called Roads by Rob Pagnano. Man, thank you for coming on the show. Before we start, shameless plugs. Thanks to Douglas Outdoors Rods for sponsoring the show. Go check them out. To check out the full lineup of LRS rods and X-Matrix rods. So again, we got Rob Pagnano on the show. Not only a great angler, but a great musician. He's kind enough to take some time out of his busy schedule to join us today and talk about his life, his showing at the KBF National Championship, and also a little bit about his great music. Not just a great kayak angler, but also a great musician. So, Rob, once again, thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your day. Why don't you start telling us a little bit about yourself, man? How you got into kayak fishing, music industry, and all that stuff in between, man.
Yeah, plenty of info, man. So I started fishing. I was probably 6-7 years old. My grandparents had a house, and they lived about. It was two towns away, and it was about 6 miles. And I would ride my bike after school with my fishing rods on my handlebars. And doing 6 miles at that age, you could tell I loved it. I'd get to their dock and learn to fish off, catching sunfish. And my father and I learned how to fish together. We ended up getting Bassmaster magazine, and we worked our way up. We made all the mistakes you had to make, and so I've been fishing. I'm 43 now. And, we're talking 30, almost 35 years or so of going at it. And I've been doing it. There were many years there for a long time where I was out fishing, 5-6 days a week. And then my music career started taking off, which we'll get into, and kind of pulled me away for a little bit. And then about 5 years ago, I got a kayak from Bass Pro Shops. And the rest is history, man. I fell in love with the kayak stuff and just started going out when I could. And then my schedule's pretty good. I stay busy, but I've been my own boss for 17 years. I have all my days open. I fill them up, but when I don't, I'm on the water, which is often now. I'm on the water probably 4 or 5 days a week. So that's contributed to the success for sure. But among other things, you've probably had a few guests on, Derek Brundle and Matt Conant. Those are big factors into some success that I'm having as well.
Yeah, man. I noticed one thing that I noticed about your evolution of you as a kayak angler. You've gone over this, especially over this year, even with I think we've seen your progression as far as achieving more success, and you had a great show in national championship. One of the things that I really appreciated, and I was listening to your Josh Smith from Dark Water Kayak Fishing, that I was really impressed is like when you were in the national championship, you weren't just riding on the coattails of, and I say this with respect, you weren't riding on the coattails of Conan and Derek Brondo. You were out there. Yeah, you drove up to the same place, but you looked like were dropped off 45 minutes.
Yeah, we were
or car drive. Separate, doing your own thing.
We were on completely different ends of Gunnersville. Yeah, I only fished. We were there for 10 days. And including all the free fishing, and I only fished with them out of the same launch twice, and I didn't fish with them at all.
Yeah.
Even on the 2 times I went out with them, I went and did my own thing. That's part of the process. Derek and Matt, they're professionals. Matt might be a rookie, but the guy knows what he's doing. He's just a great. I've been fishing with them for the last 2 years as our friendship, began, and those guys can catch them anywhere, anytime, and they taught me a lot. But part of what I do, man, I put myself around people that are better than me in everything. Doesn't matter what it is. I don't have pride, interference. I'm okay with not doing well because I'm gonna get faster. I'm gonna get, if I'm in that race and I'm running with guys that are faster than me and beat me every time, I'll get better. So same deal. We went down there, and my goal was to just figure it out myself, and so. Derek he came down there with 400 waypoints. I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not on that level yet. I got there and I did my assessing and I just drove around, and we had enough time. That's why we left early. We had enough time to freestyle it, and I was doing 6 to 10 miles a day on my kayak every day.
Wow.
Looking for open water, looking for signs, looking for fish, whatever, and I just knew what to look for this time, man. That was the cool part.
What's the biggest takeaway that you've had? Not necessarily the national championship, but the biggest takeaway you had of fishing with two of the best anglers right now. And again, Conan is kind of like a rookie in the sense, which is always interesting because you can be the best angler out there, just never fish at the KBF. Right. So it's not like a high school kid coming into the NBA or college going to pros. What's been the biggest takeaway you've had from fishing with Derek and Conan?
Oh man, there's a bunch, but the biggest one, and I will say this before I say that answer, Conan, he might be a rookie and he might have all this time, but he did just get into a kayak for the first time this past year. Yeah, so it is a different realm, but anyways, hands down, the biggest thing I learned from Derek and Matt, without a doubt, is being efficient. Those guys throw more casts than anybody I know. They work the water. They do not stop. They don't, when they're tired, they do not stop. And so I was casting, and then it's positioning. I learned so many things. I learned how to fish offshore with those guys. So that was a big thing too. I can go out in the middle of nowhere, and I know what to look for. And fishing offshore gives you so many more options because we can all go hit the edge. But being efficient and casting angles are probably the two big things, and they played a huge part in what happened at Gunnersville. And I had a little, we went to Sandy Cooper in February. I think I finished 45th out of like 140 or something, and that was a really tough place to fish. But I figured out a few things when it came to the. Derek was talking about angles, and I had places I liked, and I was just changing up my angles. Man, it really is something that I think people overlook.
Yeah.
I was catching fish when I was casting on the same spot for a half hour from the other direction. And the next, when I come around and flip around in the first cast, I'm getting them. So it's like, if you see something you like, I've learned to get into that, be efficient, go hard, but take it from different sides, different angles, and also throwing different baits. Like we have our favorites, but I've watched those guys throw in 6, 7, 8 techniques into the same area, and then they finally figure it out. Their fish are sitting there the whole time, but people will always go in there. They'll hit it quick and then they'll leave.
Yeah.
So it's just doing those little extra things, man. It's just it's keeping your head straight and understanding what you're doing at the time. You know what I mean? It's a concentrate. There's a focus there that those guys have that I'm starting to learn.
That's cool, man. And what is it about the angles that I think you learned that you hadn't learned before? What was it?
Yeah,
The
I never. I mean, I just didn't understand. I mean, there are points where I find like I'll give you an example, like in South Carolina, where again we're fishing places. I'm from Boston. I'm from Massachusetts. All these trips that we've done, because I've done a bunch. Uh, I went to Wisconsin, did the Mississippi with Derek. I've done the 10 Invitational, Kissimmee, and we're going all over the place. We're fishing places I've never been to, and it's a little different style. And I just started seeing things I wasn't seeing. It was just there were points where I'm pulling my kayak up in a foot of water and then casting out away from the bank as if I was off on the bank but still in the water. You know what I'm saying? Like you making, and it's a lot more effort because you have to sometimes it's about you're trying to be stealthy, but you're trying to get in a good position, and it's just doing the extra stuff that most people won't do, like taking, even though you're working hard. Because honestly, I've never thrown more cast in my life. I couldn't even lift my arms up. Uh,
yeah.
I thought on day 3 at the national championship, I had to change techniques because I couldn't throw any cast anymore. That was how much pain I was in.
Wow.
Because I had 3 spinal surgeries too, so I've got some. That's actually how I became a musician. But you know, I had to, and when I switched it up, I went my backup plan actually became I ended up catching. That was a magical day, man. The third day I caught over 40 bass.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, but anyways, it's just understanding, watching. I mean, you can't have a better teacher than watching those guys live in person.
Yeah.
So when I really pay attention and study. Everything I've ever done in my life, I find people that are better than me at it, and I watch. You know, same thing with music, because my music career, whenever you want to get into that, was a crazy story how that happened too. So, yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Let's go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted there.
No, nothing. No, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that's
Before we segue that, did I interrupt you again? I'm sorry, Rob.
I
You were
always
gonna say.
you're not interrupting me. I feel empty space. That's kind of my thing. I keep talking, so don't worry about it. You just talk, and I'll jump out when I.
No, but that's a good point. That's actually something that I learned from, especially from my mom. She was always, try to associate with people that are better, in the sense that's going to help you, and that was more applied to life, and then anything,
Right.
people, and it applies to sport too, especially kayak fishing, because I think fishing in general, but especially kayak fishing, it's not like other sports, basketball, football, it's mostly your athletic ability that's going to take you, combined with other things, right? But athletic ability is what's gonna take you there. I mean, you can be the smartest guy in the world, but if you can't jump or run as fast as
Right.
the rest of the guys, there's only so much you can do. Baseball is more like hand-eye coordination. You don't necessarily have to be athletic to throw a bending break ball or
Right.
a backdoor slider, but you do have to have that hand and eye coordination skill. Versus kayak fishing, I think, and I haven't done it that much to say I'm an expert on it by no means, but from what I've learned about it, it has to be more with knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is understand it's the information that's out there that you need to gather, and wisdom is just the ability to use that information in your advantage.
Oh
So
yeah.
you can be the fastest, you can have the best casting skills, but if you don't know where to throw it, what to throw, and how, in all the other little intricacies that we talked
Oh yeah.
about, you're not gonna get as far as somebody else that has less athletic ability.
Right. Yeah. I mean, kayak fishing is. There's a con. I think that in everything in sports and anything, work, fishing, your mindset is gigantic. And I'll
Yeah.
be. I do a lot of. I've changed my life, and I've always been a positive, very positive person. I don't really do negative stuff. I don't do it at all now, but I didn't even do it back in the day. I didn't even realize at the time. It's just a natural thing for me to be always look at my perspective of things is always that I'm on my way. regardless of what it is that's in front of me, I'm always doing the right thing because I'm moving forward. But if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
That's it. So, yeah, with those guys, they've helped a lot with the knowledge. And kayak fishing is reps. I feel like there are definitely people that have a knack, right? There are
Yeah.
definitely people that are naturally gifted fishing, but you can 100% learn to be a top fisherman. 100%. Are you willing to put the reps in? Are you willing to put? At the end of the day, these guys that they don't realize how much they do. You know what I mean? They don't realize how much preparation they do. Uh, Maddie, for example, guy bangs nails and builds houses, and we're talking New England here. You know,
Yeah.
guys are out. Our weather gets crazy here. You know, we got 4 feet of snow, and then the guy's going out and going hunting or going on the ice before the snow comes. As soon as he's out of work, he's going to squeeze in an hour or two with his kayak. Same deal with me. We put in the work, you know, and those guys, the preparation they do out behind the scenes is crazy. It's crazy. The amount of man, Derek had a year of waypoints and research, and he will tell you how much he put into it. You know, 2 hours a day for a year, because we were gonna go. That was supposed to be in March, right? The original date, and then
Yep.
COVID. So add on the extra time until we got to do the tournament. Like, these guys were prepped, and never being there, never been, and being Northeast, it's pretty amazing. But yeah, I feel like kayak fishing is something that a lot of people, if they don't, I hear people go, oh, yeah, no, I put the work in. I'm like, you don't come close to doing what I see these dudes doing.
Yeah.
Like, when I met Derek, it was January. It'll be January, 2 years from this January. We were fishing in February with the ice on the lake. We were breaking it with our new canoes.
Wow.
You know,
That's dedication.
that's the kind of dudes these guys are. We're all like kind of hardcore. And I'm not just saying that. Like, people are built tough around here.
Yeah.
You got to deal with the weather changes and the stuff. It's just for us to be out in that kind of cold and whatever. It's fine, you know.
Yeah,
But
no, that I give props to guys up there in Massachusetts. I remember, that old saying, Boston strong.
yeah,
Uh, it really does apply to it. I have family up there through the New England area, and it's the character within the culture of Massachusetts, even Boston. It's like, it's it's one of those things where you gotta be tough, you gotta be strong.
yeah. I mean, there's tough people everywhere.
Yeah,
Not one to be like, oh, we're tougher than them. All I'm
yeah,
saying, tough. You know, that's the type of guys that I'm hanging around with are hard workers, and they just have passion, and that's a huge thing for success, having passion for it. Um, but yeah. Anyways, the whole story, my life story is pretty crazy. I've done a lot of things. I've traveled. I've done speaking and different things. I grew up an athlete and played baseball, football, and then I played college basketball. Believe it or not, I'm 330 pounds now. But prior to my injury, I ended up breaking my back when I was 26, and
well,
I had 3 major spinal fusion surgeries, which were very invasive, and that was from 26 to 28. And in that time, my right leg was basically shut down because the vertebrae fractured, and the nerve was impacted by the vertebrae. And so my right leg was basically like, if you sleep on your leg, that was what except painful, that was what my leg was. So I couldn't move. So I just sat in a bed or on the couch for a year and a half and gained 140 pounds.
no,
And that was when my buddies reminded me in college, they used to take me to karaoke bars and I could win beer money for the basketball team. So I started really working at guitar and picked one up, and I started playing at home from scratch and used YouTube, and I taught myself how to play. And 2 years later, I was doing open mics, and within a year from that, I was out, playing 50 shows. And then the next year I've been doing 300 shows a year for 15 years now. And it's crazy, man. I have a very good career now. I love speaking to people about chasing after the things they love. mindset to me is it's the piece that a lot of people ignore, and you can change your whole life, every facet of it, if you work on it. Like I don't mind long-term investments into my future and into things I love. I remember telling everybody I was going to become a well-known musician, and I'm almost 30s old. I'm starting from scratch, and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" My close friends knew. They believed. They knew who I was, but random people, And I just worked and worked, and now we're at about 3,500 shows, and I had a couple songs on Country 102.5 here in Boston. I got a publishing deal offer, and I tour all over the country, and I make a very good living playing music. So I got a part-time job that pays me a very, very high amount of money, which is great because it allows me to have my schedule. But I had many years where I made nothing, so I was willing to put the work in to get there. So it's the same thing with fishing. I don't mind going and getting beat bad sometimes, because I know in the end I'll be hanging with these guys someday.
Oh, you already have. That's a good point that you mentioned. Like when you say starting over, I had one of my best friends always when I was struggling with stuff. He was like, "Man, it's just the road to get back. It's just," and it's one of the things he said. He's like, "Time is ticking right now. Like we're talking right now, time is not stopping. So 5 years from now, it's going to be 5 years from now, regardless. It's whether 5 years from now you're going to be at a better position than you are now. You're not, because time is not stopping. You don't have an option.
Right,
Well, the option is not what it should be. In the
right,
sense that people just decide to end things, and that's definitely not a solution.
right,
So it's one of those mentalities where you're like, time is not stopping. So you either do something about now, and however long it takes to get back to where you need it, that time is going to come
right,
regardless if you do it or not. So might as well do it and get to where you
right.
want to be in life in general, not just kayak
Yeah,
fishing.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing, man. It's like, see, to me, that's how I think. I was 30 years old, and I said I'll break into the music industry at the highest level at 41. I put it on my Facebook. I'd only been playing for 2 years, and literally at 41, I got my publishing deal offer. It's like, I believe you can call things up, but you got to do the work too.
Yeah.
But that was 11 years, and like from that point, and it's like people look at that and like, you're willing to. I mean, it's been 17 years from start. Like I was gonna be here anyways, as long as nothing happened to me.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's a big thing where people fall short. It's like they want an instant gratification
Yeah.
and results, and they can't deal with the fact that that road is not easy in general for things that you love. So
Yeah. What has been, you mentioned before, you've been like a motivational speaker. What life's experiences has brought you to saying, this is what I live for, like what I've lived through and what I can tell
yeah,
other people?
yeah, I got into about so a little over 4.5 years ago. I was approached with these products. So I have people that, again, I've built a good name, and I've always been an honest guy, and I've always spoken from my heart, and I have these great connections with people, and I'm very lucky and fortunate to have these big groups. And I got approached about a business that was based around these products that were all natural, that help people, and so I was interested, not necessarily about the business, but I was interested because I heard the stories that were coming out. It was these, I've been on them still. I'm still on them now to this day. They just help. They took away a lot of my inflammation and my pain, and it's just basic. It's high level food. It's just food, natural resources. I'm not a fan of big pharma and stuff like that. And so when I found a way to get better with Earth's, Earth's remedies, which they're there for every one of us. It's unbelievable what's out there, and we're just taught not to look at that.
Yeah.
Said, well, I'm gonna try this, and if I like it, I'll get behind it. And the thing is, like I said, I've been building my name, and I was working my way up, and I play 300 shows a year, and with that, there was a party side to this thing, man. I was out, you know, in bars and in clubs every night of the week, just about, and people throwing free alcohol at you. Like it was a crazy thing. So anything that bad happened in my life was always tied to alcohol. Now, I didn't wake up and need a drink, because if I didn't play a show for a week, I wouldn't have a drink. It was just it was like a social thing. It was like tied to the, and I just always felt like I was taking a step back. So I said, if I'm going to try these products, not going to drink to take them. I'm going to make sure that I've taken all the factors out and I can understand what this is doing to me. And man, I just started feeling different. Just started feeling like myself. And now it'll be 5 years in March since I've had a drink. And with
congratulations.
Thank you. With that business, I ended up doing really well. I became a 1%er in the business. I did 6 figures on the side in my first year, which is crazy. I think I made a $600 investment and I made $100,000 that year. And with
it's a good return.
Yeah, and with that, I spoke on stages all across the country, and was flown all over the world. I even went on trips to Jamaica and Mexico and all these crazy places and stuff. And just all I do is keep meeting these amazing people. And so what I realized is there's a lot of people that I truly believe that everybody has these great results in them for whatever it is in their life. And it's just understanding the perspective to actually open the door to get there. Most people, when things get tough, are 80% of the people are looking at the same angle. And we talked about casting angles. It's the same thing with your life. If you understand on the other side of this whole thing is the passageway, I let go of all negative things and I only focus on the positive, and I look truly for what I gained from every experience. And it changed everything for me, man. Then I was speaking on stages, and I was in Texas, California, Nashville, you name it. And I was out in Anaheim in California. I think I spoke to 12,000 people. And then I've got these videos of these. I wrote some poems and stuff that were like inspiring to people and reciting them, and just crazy stuff, man. It's just been a good ride. I feel like I've lived 10 lifetimes already. And that started that, and I loved it. And then I started getting called in to do realty offices and speaking to realtors, and because mindset is the biggest thing in this for success, number one, hands down. And I'm all tattooed up, I'm covered, yet I'm going into these businesses with all the suits and doing my thing. And sometimes people are looking at you strange, but can't argue with the results. I mean, pretty much anything I've done, I've gotten to the top. It's just being able to understand that it's all up here,
Yeah,
so
that's a good. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to share that.
How hard is it for you, like being in the music industry and playing in the venues that you have, and then still trying to avoid, like you said, you've been 5 years sober? Because I'm imagining for a lot of people, I know it's just like, hey man, I can't even smell alcohol, I can't even be around it. But you've managed to still be effective in your environment while still staying sober. How hard has it been for you, and what drastical changes, if any, you had to take to avoid, kind of like?
So I'll always be honest. I honestly didn't feel any. I was in the bar the same week I quit and had no urges. I made a mindset decision. My mental strength, when I get locked in, it is strong. And I've literally had zero issues. I've had no temptations. It just hasn't even happened, and it won't, just because when I get locked in, dude, I mean it. I'm very strong mentally, and I don't think I was physically addicted to it. I was addicted to the party and the social side of it. So I think I probably had a little easier road than people that actually have that physical addiction to the alcohol. I was more addicted to like being the limelight and jumping around like an idiot. You know what I mean? My life's completely different now. I'm very laid back, and I love family. I love my family. I love, I've got 2 kids, and man, I just enjoy the littlest things. I'm in the nature and in the water or something every single day, and then I'm playing music almost every single night. Like, I only do things I love, so it doesn't matter to me. That business was great, but it also taught me that I didn't care about money, because I made plenty of it, and it didn't
fulfill your life.
Didn't make a difference.
No.
No, I love this. I love the little things. So I think it's just having a good perspective of what a lot of people don't. I really think about what makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? I put a lot of thought into that, and I think most people would, if they backed it off, they would probably understand it isn't the materialistic stuff and the
Yeah.
stature. It's the people around you, and it's the experiences that you can have with them. So now it's a breeze to live. You know what I mean? I can do something for free every day and be completely fulfilled just by being out on this earth.
What triggered or flipped that switch for you? You said you were addicted to the social life, and the persona that you've created, and it was all, you know, a lot of it was influenced by
Um,
alcohol. What decided, says like, hey, I don't want this anymore?
it was in me. I mean, when I was 4 years old, I told my mom that I was going to do something where everybody knew me because I just knew it. I was 4 and I had that feeling. I've always known I'm supposed to do more. Being you know, and again, like, just I know it's hard to gauge it from this conversation, but I have a lot of people all over the world that I speak to on a daily basis, from all these encounters and just even now, just what I do. And I always felt like I was taking 2 steps back. So it literally got to the point where it bothered me. I was like, I'm ruining my potential. You know, I was gaining. I've never gone down. My life's been on an uphill climb, but I was slowing it down. Like I could have been the day basically in the 4.5 years that I've quit drinking, my life has skyrocketed with the things that have happened from country radio. I mean, I've had 3 songs on the biggest country radio station in Massachusetts from a guy that didn't even know how to play at 28 years old. You know what I
Oh.
mean? Yeah. It's just, so I knew those things deep down, and I don't mind putting them out there and letting people. Yeah, you know, I don't mind when people are they don't believe that or they think it's crazy talk. That's never bothered me one bit. I'm so ironclad in what I can do and what I possess, and I think that's all that matters. You know.
Have you had, since you know you switch that mental, I'm sorry, flip that mental switch into saying this is what I want to do and this is what I don't want to do? Has there been pitfalls where you've kind of fall back on a trend that you were trying to avoid, and or has it been steady climb to where
100
you are now?
100%. So I tell people often that your goal, especially when you're getting better and you start making the switch, your goal is to recognize the things that slow down your progress or stop it. Recognize it faster than the last time. So let's say you go into a tailspin, right, or something. Your mindset switches, and you're having those inner dialogues that aren't good for you, right? Your goal is to recognize it faster than the last time it came into your life, and the duration that you're in it, make it smaller. So every time that it happens, it gets less and less and less. And that's all I've done, to the point where now I really don't have breakdowns and I stay pretty consistent. I will say that with new, I have a lot of things I want to do. A couple of years ago, I started making woodworking from scratch and started selling furniture. Like I have all these things I want to get good at. And with fishing with Derek the first year, I did find myself getting discouraged a little bit. My first tournament, I finished in the top 10 at Lake George out of 100 guys, which was crazy, right? But I was with Derek. I was at one of his spots. I was doing techniques he showed me. It wasn't on my own. And throughout the year, I started trying to do a little bit more on my own, and the results showed that. And I had a little bit of frustration, and I had to step back. And then literally, you can ask Derek and Matt. Coming into this year, I said, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna have fun, because I know in the long term I'll get where you guys are gonna be, and I just have to be okay with that. And sometimes that's checking it. But yeah, I'm very conscious of what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm a big believer that the universe. I'm a spiritual guy, man, and I'm a very big believer that the universe listens to your thoughts and your words, and you got
Very
to be
true.
very careful what you say and what you think. And it's okay to have them, and it's okay to think these things that aren't productive and that actually bring you back. But like I said, you got to figure ways out and be conscious to make them less and the duration less. You know, And I think that's the key to success is just being able to recognize that you're not doing the right thing faster than the last time, and you won't stay there longer, you know.
I think you pretty much touched on what was going to be my follow-up question, but I'm going to ask it anyways in case we missed something. But for
Sure.
those that out there that I say, man, I'm struggling. I understand what you're saying, Rob, but I keep falling back. I'm getting frustrated because every one of us has a different mental I want to say structure, because I feel like it's disrespectful to say somebody, oh, you meant the person is mentally weak or something like that, because that's just putting the person down. Obviously, we all live through different things and we're
Right.
all tough to a certain level. It's just the amount of stuff that we've had through going through life, and at the time we've gone through life. It's
Right.
not the same thing of going through crap when you're 5 years old that going when you're 15 years old. So there's a lot of factors that work differently for everyone as far as that mental approach and trying to get better yourselves. What would you say for those person that are struggling with, like, man, I try, I understand what you're saying, but it's just I keep falling back on a trend, or I keep struggling with it. What would it be, like, one advice that you say? What
I do say this. It's completely normal to feel that way, and it is. You're right. I mean, I could trace my lifeline back to moments where I was completely weak. That isn't where you are now, isn't where you're going to end up if you don't have, that doesn't have to be the way it is. Man, I like to paint that picture. I something I do that I don't think a lot of people do. I feed my mind with these type of I actually watch these videos. I let them play and listen to them daily. And when I'm really like working out, especially when I was 4.5 years ago, when I went on my big climb, I was doing like 8 hours a day of this. Like I said, what you put into your mind is a very big piece of the puzzle. And so when people come to you and say, oh, I'm trying, this isn't working, blah, 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 I just don't think that they're using all the tools that they can use. When I'm on the road, I love music. And when I'm in that mode, and I was in it for many years, and I still do it a few days a week, I don't listen to music. I actually, I use these videos on YouTube. They're called Mulligan Brothers, and there's thousands of them. And hold on one second.
Yeah, go ahead, man. If you need to take care of something, it's fine.
I had a phone call. I was just declining it. So these videos, Mulligan Brothers, they're like motivational videos, positive reinforcement. They combine music with anything from movie quotes to big speeches and clips, and they run concurrently with the music in the background. So I feel like it bridges the gap. When someone's listening to a motivational speaker, that can get boring, right? I don't mind it, but some people don't have the attention span for it. It almost takes like the soundtrack to like a movie like Braveheart or something. Watch the movie, we get inspired by the music and the fight scene together. It's the same deal. And I let those things play for hours and hours, no matter what I'm doing, in my car, in the house. And all I'm doing is I'm visualizing my success. And I think if you're constantly, no matter what happens, I've had eviction notices on my door, and I'm like, man, I'm so thankful for all the money I have. I'm so thankful for all I don't bend. That's what it is. I won't, because I understand that that's gonna, and if I do bend, I catch myself, because that's what the problem is. People don't follow through with it. And then again, you can say you're doing the work, but man, the amount of stuff that I've done and what I see successful people doing is just, they're outworking everybody. We all have these tools to use. There's a million avenues. If you want to research for like how to change your life, I'm sure that you could get pages and pages of information, and then it's just start working on it and find out what works for you, because not everybody's the same, obviously, right? But at the end of the day, my thing was I wasn't going to take no for an answer, and I did struggle for all through it. It wasn't like instantly I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm okay with the time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's years and years and years. I'm talking 20-year journey for me, but like you said, time's going to come and go.
Yeah.
So you got to really you have to understand that that's the process. So maybe getting maybe really starting to understand that the process is dirty, ugly, and it doesn't feel good for a long time. You
Yeah,
know?
I think that's part of it. And again, I'd respect to everybody that struggles with one thing or another, because it's different. But a lot of it is got to be owning it and understanding. This is,
Oh,
yeah, it is what it is. This is what it is. We just have to get over this, own it, and then continue with the next step, and understand the next step is going to have its pitfalls and ups and downs, and owning those as well, because and again, everybody, like you said, everybody's different. I noticed you said something like money is you don't care about it, you don't care about the popularity or this persona that you had before, but there's always that word success. What to you, or what should you think, in your opinion, should view as success in
100%.
life?
It's a success is being able to do things you love on a daily basis and be able to live a comfortable life or a happy life. Period.
It,
I don't measure. And again, I'll be honest with you. When I told you I didn't care about money and all these things, right? But I'm making more money now than I ever have with music. Yet it's the least thing I don't care about it, because I focused on I only do things I really truly love. And because of that reason, I think that comes with it, because I'm not thinking about it in the way that I think you would think most people would think about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's
yeah.
like, it'll come when you're doing it for the right reasons. And obviously if you're putting the work in. I mean, my work ethic is I would say it's higher than normal. I was playing, like I said, 300 shows a year, and for many years I didn't take breaks. So I would play 6 nights a week, sometimes 2 shows a day, 3 hours a night, sing all 3 hours. And I'm talking full band shows, doing Rage Against the Machine medleys. We used to be a rock band.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I couldn't
It's
even
one of my
drink.
favorite ones.
I couldn't even talk for 2 of the days of every week. And I would sing the last 2 shows. They would be horrible, but I would do them. And I built a name and a reputation from just showing up and outworking people. I mean, I watch people. I'm part of musician groups and stuff from the area I'm from and from Massachusetts, and I don't even write on these things because I'm still a part of the group. But I just watch people complain on a daily basis. I'm like, man, you're just destroying your chances. You can't complain about stuff. It's like you're looking at it all wrong. So when people come and they say I'm doing everything and they're complaining, like I'm not sympathetic to it. I'm just saying I know that's not going to work. Obviously, it's not going to work. You
Yeah.
have to be able to understand that the only way you'll get through this is undying belief, no matter what, for no matter how long the time is.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden one day things just click and you're like, holy, wow. And it's a breakthrough. And those breakthroughs are the moments that you rebuild your fuel tank for the next run.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because a lot of times you feel like, oh, life's not fair. It's not, and it sucks that it's not fair. And sometimes the hand that you've been dealt is not a full house or straight. It's just a crappy, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
something that really is a hard hand to play. But that's the one you have to make the most of it, because life doesn't care about excuses. And not to say excuses as disrespectful, but you have to make the most out of what you can of
I
the hand you've been dealt, and find satisfaction in what is it that you can accomplish
I
with
agree.
your potential. And that's a good point. I know you have a super busy schedule, and I don't want to keep you too long, but I wanted to dive in a little bit about your musical career. Tell us a little bit about what kind of music you like to play,
Yeah.
and what
Well,
inspires your lyrics and stuff like that, and where can people listen to you?
yeah. So I mean, I love all genres. To be honest with you, I started out when I started listening to music, I was listening to R&B and like Boys to Men, and I mean, I was into that type of stuff. And then it switched to rock and Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder, and then it switched to, like a little heavier stuff. And then I went to country, I do everything. Now I'm primarily a country guy because rock music in general is kind of it's a weird thing that's out there, man. It's like this gap that's missing. You'll see a lot of people leaning towards country now that were rock people because of the instrumentation and in the sounds and what they're coming up. Now I'm not talking pop country. I'm just talking there's a whole genre of great musicians that are country guys that have a rock sound and etc. The other thing, it is much easier for me to maintain and sing this style music, and I honestly like it now. I wasn't a country guy for a long time. I've been doing it for over 5-6 years now. I align it with the music and the lyrics and stuff. What I write from the heart. I don't write everything I write is just a true feeling. I've never been afraid of being like, I have no problem telling my feelings. I have no problem crying if something's destroyed me. I don't. So, like I was watching the Khabib fight. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you watch UFC, but Khabib and Justin Gaethje, a big MMA fight yesterday. It was the biggest fight of the year.
Oh yeah.
And Khabib's the toughest guy in the earth, right? You know, this guy, an amazing guy. And if you listen to his post, I would tell you to go listen to his post-fight speech.
Yeah.
And watch him after the fight. He's bawling on the ground, thinking of his dad and thinking of his family.
Yeah.
True men are not afraid to be in touch with their emotions and the things. I promise you this. And so I've always been open. And so when I write songs, I have no problem being vulnerable or writing whatever it is. I'm not writing. I freestyle. When I write a song, I hit record and I don't even know what I'm going to do. And I start singing into the air and I start figuring out where I'm playing on the fly. And that's how every one of my songs comes. I'll end up getting a melody and I'll pick out a couple words and then I write it after I've recorded the basic form of what I want it to sound like, because it's all a feeling. And yeah, man, I guess I'm considered a rock country guy, although I write a lot of different stuff, and my music's everywhere, man. I like I said, did the record in Nashville. I've got a bunch of other stuff coming out soon. Wherever you get your music, mine's on there. I have, you know, anything from iTunes to Spotify to Google Play to Deezer. I mean, there's so many avenues. I don't know where people get their music, but I'm on like 40 platforms.
Nice.
So yeah, they just look up my name, and I like to write songs that inspire people, or I like to write love songs, man. I don't know, there's something about it, and I look at fishing the same way. I'm like, how can you not be in love with this sport?
Yeah.
And what we do. So yeah, man, that's my deal.
That's awesome. Have you done any country songs talking about kayak fishing? Is that in the works?
You know, funny, Scott Butcher asked me to write a theme song for him for his show. We just haven't got around. We just haven't got around to talking about it any more than the initial conversation. Yeah, I mean, I should write a song about fishing, right?
Well, I mean, it has, if it inspires you, which I know it would. Yeah, definitely. It will be the soundtrack of our lives for a lot of us.
Honestly, it probably will at some point. Things have been crazy, man. My schedule's nuts, and I'm a busy guy in general. So, but yeah, I can see that happening, man.
Yeah, one thing I love about Scott Butcher's podcast, I don't know if he always, I haven't listened to all of them, but he has that intro where he's just playing the song, you know, and he likes it. I've wanted to do that, but I'm feeling like I'm being a copycat now. We did it on this episode because I wanted to, you know, my listeners to listen, to get to know your music, which I think it's amazing music and it's beautiful music. And the fact that you write it yourself it's pretty awesome. It comes from the heart, and that's what gets you all the feels, man. Knowing that it's natural, it's organic.
Much appreciated, bro. But listen, music is tied to everything, dude. You don't have to feel like a copycat by putting music in your show. You know?
Yeah.
That's I think music's one of those things, man. That's that universal language, right?
But yeah, it is very universal language, and it you know, inspires us, and it you know, it gets us all emotional, and it hits us in every feeling, depending on what we're listening to and what the lives we lived and all that. So Rob, I thank you so much for taking the time. I don't want to drag this too long because I know you're super busy, and I want to respect that. But if a couple of quick questions, how did it feel to bring that national championship? Kind of like as a team, because you all in New Canoe to Massachusetts. This has just been such a southern sport now, but it's to take it to Massachusetts. How does that feel?
Yeah. Oh man, just to be around those guys. Before my accomplishment, man, and I'm being very serious. That whole time, because I put up a solid limit both day 1 and 2, like 75 inches.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was sitting in like 70 and 80th place. I was rooting for those guys, dude. Like I wanted to see that. I was like looking at them. I'm like, they have a chance to make history. So I was really like, that was what it was about. Coming home with all that hardware, dude. We had all those checks and all the trophies and everything in the truck. It was amazing. I'm glad I could be, get in the top 10% and represent, because I honestly know, and Derek said it many times, he goes, you're a good fisherman. Like I said, I got on myself a little bit sometimes, but I corrected that. And this year it was about just laying back, having fun, and more of that's coming. But it was an honor. And there are great fishermen all over the map. You know what I mean? There are great fishermen in every state. And I'm glad to see the Northeast guys getting some respect, because at the end of the day, there's great fishing here, and people work their ass off to do it, and no one should be assuming that because they're from the South that we can't compete. I mean, obviously now with Ken Wood and Brundle and Joe DiDeo and Matt Conan and all these guys that are consistent, you're seeing it.
Yeah. It's great to see that diversity, the sports growing even to the Northeast. Guys coming down here, Tennessee and or the southern part of the states, and just putting, laying down the hammer. And I know you got a few sponsors you want to thank, so I wanted to give you a few minutes for those shameless plugs. I'm going to start off with one. New Canoe, man. New Canoe has hit gold with you as a team. You guys are a unit. Yeah. And I think every single kayak company or a company that wants to sponsor has to take a look at what you guys have, because I know most teams are like, yeah, they're a team, but they're mostly competing for themselves. But you guys bring that unit mentality and that brotherhood mentality that's really putting New Canoe on the map. And I wanted to touch on that and mention that, because I love that aspect of what you're doing. I've never gotten a New Canoe, so I'm not going to talk about their product. Right. But you guys as a unit working together, and representing New Canoe, I can imagine New Canoe being any more happy than they are with what you guys are doing.
Yeah. I could say a million things about the product, but I'll tell you right now that everything starts with ownership. Blake is unbelievable, man. He's just such a down-to-earth family man, and he puts his faith in the team, in belief in every single one, and in the boats, and you can feel that, man. And then it goes down to Everett, and then we have Mark, our regional director. There's so I was getting messages from these guys, and I'm like, who am I? I'm while I'm in the tournament saying, hey, you do, like updates and stuff. And it is a family atmosphere. There's no egos. Like literally, we didn't care. I didn't care who won, who didn't. We were just rooting for each other. And that's kind of the culture of the whole thing. I have not met everybody on the team. I've met a bunch, and I have had zero bad interactions with anybody, man. I honestly think it's hard to have a bad team dynamic when you have such great leadership, because people follow that. You know what I'm saying? So that would be, these guys literally care about the people that we are. They're talking about their families and the things that are going in their lives, not how many kayaks did you sell today. You know what I'm saying? So when you get that kind of respect, you want to do everything you can for people like that, right? Like if you have a wife or a husband or whoever it is in your life that does everything for you without asking a question, wouldn't you do anything you would do anything for them without even asking. That's kind of how it works, man. So yeah, they're doing well, but we got hammers, man. New Canoe, Team New.
You do. You guys do. Definitely do. I'll give you a few minutes for you to have the floor and talk about, your sponsors and people that help you, both in your musical career and your kayak fishing career. If you want to take shameless plug time, go ahead.
I've been lucky for good people in my life, man. For a long time, my best friend Rachel, who was my roommate, has allowed me to be able to take off, do my thing, and she's just a very caring person. She's been amazing, and my girlfriend, Jamie, is just literally the best thing that's ever happened to me, and just a beautiful person. And I'm surrounded by unbelievable people, man. It's just I really don't have anybody that negative in my life, in my circle, and so with all that, I could thank a million people. And I've got people that have shown me respect and appreciation. Tight Lines Worldwide is one of the sponsors that they're very good to us, and I've was sponsored by Hayabusa. There's a bunch that go with that, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to thank the companies that are side because I haven't had relationships with them. I'm grateful for the equipment, but for me, it's the people, man. The people that are in my life, beyond any of the sponsors, on a personal level. That, man, I'm just thankful, dude. Like, I feel bad for people that don't have support crews like I do. It makes a big difference, and I'm very appreciative of them all, and I let them know that every single day. So, yeah, man, it's good stuff.
Thanks, man. Rob, I appreciate it so much for your time. I know, again, you've had a busy schedule. Where can people find you on social media, on any other platform?
Yeah, if you look just my Rob Pagnano or Rob Pagnano Music, if you type my name in, I pop right up on Google search, and then you'll have a million links to stuff just from things I've done in my life. So easy to find, and yeah, I try to friend everybody back and see what they're doing as well, and I'm all over the map. Obviously, COVID's kind of a weird time, but I'm still playing 4 shows a week as is. So
That's great.
Mostly New England stuff right now.
Any chance of coming to Texas soon?
Oh yeah, I would love to. I have a lot of friends out there. Actually, what part are you? Where are you at?
I'm at Fort Worth, near Dallas.
Oh yeah. I played Billy Bob's.
Oh, Billy Bob. I love Billy Bob's. I'm not a big country guy, but I love Billy Bob's.
Yeah. Go ahead. What a crazy place with the bull ride.
It is.
But yeah, I actually have a lot of this. I did a. There's a lot of online shows and online platforms that popped up because of COVID. There's like these quarantine karaoke pages and all these crazy things. And I started doing shows, and I've literally made a whole new batch of friends all over the country. And there's a huge one in Texas. A bunch of people that have been following me now for like 4 or 5 months, and they want me to come out, and they're offering house concerts and blah blah blah. So I will guarantee I'll be there. I just don't know specifics yet.
Oh, yeah, well, hook me up, man. Let me know when you're coming
Awesome.
down. I'd love to meet you and hear your music live.
Kill it,
I'm
man.
sure. I'm sure my the wife would love to hear your music too. It's beautiful music, and I say that, and I mean that not because you're my show, but I really mean it. It's beautiful music, and it's I don't know. I like it. I enjoy it. I'm not a big country music fan, but I really enjoy the lyrics aspect of it. Just because it feels like it's very organic. So Rob, thanks again for joining us, and thanks again for sharing your life stories. I hope if there's anybody out there that's listening that can take away from this in their personal life, or share with somebody that can help them in their personal life, that's what that's the biggest gift I can have. That's what's going to make me happy, is knowing not only we talk about kayak fishing and techniques, but also life stories that could potentially help somebody else down the road. So I really appreciate you taking time to talk about all that stuff, man.
I appreciate you too, bro. And honestly, what a great show, and the angles
Thank
that
you.
you're taking. I think it's a very helpful thing, and especially in our industry, dude. We get a lot of tough guys that I have to understand that we are here for them, it's okay. So if anybody ever needs to talk, they can reach out to me as well. So
thank you again, Rob. So once again, this has been the Bass, Kayak, and Beers segment on the Paddle and Fin Network, presented by Douglas Rods. Go check them out, douglasoutdoors.com. Rob Pagnano joining us. So I hope you guys listen to it. If you made it this far, thank you. Be safe out there if you're going to be in the water. Winter is coming. Weather's going to get cold. Please take the necessary precautions to avoid, if you fall in the water, we don't want to get, hypothermia or anything. Do your research before in the water. Follow the 120 rules to keep yourself safe in case of an emergency, and always wear PFDs. Thanks again to my special guest and to all of you out there listening. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, and tight lines, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. TRC Covers, protect your investment. Ketch Products, shout out to Ketch Products. Go to ketchproducts.com and put the Paddle and Fin logo directly on your catch board. Shout out to JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com, use promo code PNF20 and save 20% on all your jig and tackle needs.